a sense of capital. Is the music on, guys? Aloha, lads and gents. Welcome back to a new episode of A Sense of Capital Live Earnings. Your host of the day, as always, is Julian, and I'm very glad to have you in, guys. And today, same procedure like the past 2 days and 2 times in the past week. We will cover a small cap company. Actually, it's not a really small cap company. I mean, we're talking about a larger double-digit billion number of enterprise value, and we're not talking about a company which has how you call this, less than the name of Nu. So the digital bank, out of Brazil, active in Brazil, Colombia, and Mexico, and actually the largest digital bank outside of the Asian region. So definitely for me a pleasure to be invested in and to back today the Q3 2024 earnings results. But before we jump in and start with the brief introduction, as always, a quick disclaimer. So in the upcoming minutes, this will not be financial advice, consultation whatsoever, and there is no guarantee for correctness of the provided data. So always make sure you do your own evaluation and due diligence process, because at the end it's your money and your future life, let's say it like this. And if it's going bad, maybe even headaches and destroying some nerves in your mind. However, don't want to create any concerns, guys. That's not the target of today. However, so if everything goes as planned, the earnings results will be public in roughly 13 minutes. So currently, they are live. They are already live. They're already live, guys. You can see it right here. So I don't want to waste any time. That's my major target of this earnings season, that as soon as they are live, we start to guide them, to back them. I already told you that we're talking about a digital bank. I think everything else is not that important. Maybe here and there we will talk about details in the upcoming, let's say, hour. But first of all, we start right now and jump into the earnings. Then we enter all the information into the Excel sheet, which is especially prepared for this purpose. And then we can together judge about all the numbers, all the KPIs, and give a final verdict, negative, neutral, or positive. However, guys, let's jump right into the results. And therefore, we open the earnings press release. And yeah, Q3, let me see if you can see it clearly. It looks fine, I think. Hopefully the sound and everything is good as well. And so we can start. Wait. Before we see the results, actually I need to share quickly the Excel sheet, at least a bit, because I mean, bottom line growth, so profit, and top line growth, revenue, these are the targets when we talk about today. So forecast is 11 US dollar cents, and my target as well is 11 US dollar cents. I would be fine with it. I think that's already, I mean, they're sometimes struggling a little bit with the profit side, so I don't expect a huge beat to be satisfied as an investor. In terms of revenue, I see it different. You can see that the original target was 2.6 billion revenue in US dollars, and my target actually is a bit higher. We're talking about 2.85. Why? Because I definitely want to achieve the same result of past quarter. I know there's seasonality and it can be difficult, but what I would love to see, at least the results, the revenue of Q2 2023, which was the same amount. Okay, guys, so one more time, 11 US dollar cents per share and 2.85 revenue. So let's go, let's dig into it. And honestly, I don't have the best feeling today about Nu. Very different than the past quarters, but actually this company is such a bank, and I would not be surprised if they deliver as always. Okay, let's check it out. Net income increased. Okay. I mean, first of all, I want to see first revenue. Revenue for me is the major number right now, and we can see it already here. That looks strong. I mean, it's just 90 million more than past quarter, but keep in mind the original target was 2.65, if I'm not mistaken, 2.61 actually. So 2.94 is definitely a good one. And I mean, as you know, as a very likely loyal and reliable viewer of my channel, now we dig a little bit more into the details, checking out what is actually the earnings per share count, because of course they just state always the net income, and we need to calculate it by ourselves. What is it in terms of per share? So however, let's start to enter all the informations we get provided by them. Of course, as always, number of customers, of clients is a very crucial number, but we start with the key number, and that is revenue. And again, one more time, talking about 29432, 29432, and so we're starting to enter it. 29432. That looks good. You can see it's a very, very strong beat by 333 million US dollars. We're talking about a year-on-year growth of roughly 38%, and absolute strongest quarter in terms of revenue since IPO of the company, or actually since this company was founded. Yeah, so definitely a strong one. And we can already start with my regular rating. And in terms of revenue, I have no other option than granting a positive rating. So that's a strong one. Love to see it. And I mean, top line growth in terms of a company, or when we talk about a company, which is for me defined as a revenue growth investment, is most important. So that is the biggest box as an investor from my side, at least we can already tickle. So now let's check out what is going on with the earnings per share. And therefore we need, damn, I need to share. My computer is a bit lacking, sorry for this. Okay, we head back to the press release and we check out one more time the net income. Net income is 533 million US dollars. Look at this comparison to 1 year ago, it's simply crazy. So what we do, we utilize those 533.4 and enter them into our sheet. Okay, and now we needed the average shares outstanding in the diluted status, so to calculate the EPS. Let's see if we can find it quickly. Diluted, here we go. This is the number we are looking for. 4889409. 4889409, and I assume it's yeah, and we are spot on, guys. We are spot on the expectations. I told you with let's check out what is actually a little bit more than 0.11 US dollars per share, talking about 0.113 US dollars per share. But just kidding, and of course that doesn't make any difference in terms of the EPS. And so we straight covered the forecast, covered the target, which was the target, even a bit lower, so it's actually a beat. The target was 0.108 US dollar cents, so it is a beat, not a strong one, not that surprising. But again, on the profit side, most of the time new is quite relaxed in this regard. and sometimes even misses something or just covers the expectations. So that's absolutely fine for me. Not somehow astonishing or surprising or something like this. However, you can see first glance top line growth top, bottom line okay, satisfying. Business seems to go very well for this growing and not stopping growing digital bank out of Latin America. So that's already great. We can tickle those boxes, and now we dig a little bit deeper. And for those of you who joined yesterday at StoneCo, even though StoneCo dropped today, I was quite convinced with the results, but there we enter so many numbers, and in this case it's way less. I think it's just something like 30-40% of the KPIs we need to get out of the press release and enter into this table compared to the yesterday's earnings live stream. So I'm very happy about this. So guys, you can see revenue is already integrated. Now we come to the net income. Actually, we can simply copy it, and maybe we can just link it actually, so it's a little bit better. All right, looks good. So we have net income, and at the same point in time we want to add the annualized return on equity, and most of the time I need to share a screen. Most of the time in the press release, or at least at the presentation slide deck, they cover it quite on the top. It's for them an absolute key number. So let's see where it is. Okay, then maybe we go for the presentation. Here we go. And I think here it's listed straight on the cover page somewhere. Hopefully. Okay, finally we got it, I think. Annualized ROE, here it is. And now talking about 21%. So you can see in the first, is it correct? What's going on here? It's 23, okay. We're talking about 30%, so even 2% up compared to the past quarter, and 9% up to the past year. So let's enter this as well. Oh, that's a bit too much. And now we can start the comparison process and go on with our judgment, or at least my judgment. And just when we focus net income, you know that because of try to eliminate the seasonality impact, I always compare the last quarter and this quarter year-on-year growth. So let's check out what's the case in terms of net income. And here you can see it. Last quarter, year-on-year, it grew by 117%. Now only for 83%. I think that's just reasonable, not that surprising. In the end, you can't keep this kind of momentum and growth development. And 83% is still amazing. I mean, look, you need to keep in mind that this company is growing very strongly since quarters, and just compare this to this, that's roughly 30% more Q1 to Q2 2023 results, and of course then the base and this year-on-year growth is way different, and so 83% is still amazing, or even if when you compare Q2 to Q3, which makes in this case obviously more sense. However, so this is for me a straight green rating. Nothing I have to complain about in this regard. An annualized return on equity, as well a key number in the digital banking business or in the banking business itself. And you can see past quarter 11% year-on-year growth. Here as well some saturation takes place, but we're still talking about 9%. And guys, this for me, you can see, I mean, yes, the steps of growth have been larger in the past, especially Q1 to Q2 2023 when you take a look, and Q1 to Q2 to last quarter, both 5%, but still 2%. Absolutely good, absolutely satisfying, and However, not that heavily strong. I would say I give granted neutral rating. Yeah, I mean we don't need to be too positive about all of this. Okay, guys, and now we take a look on the customer base. I mean, as you were like, you know, Brazil, that's their first market. There, the headquarters located. That's the original business, and they already covering last quarter 96, almost 96 million citizens over there. I think, which is roughly, you can see it here, 44%, yeah. So overall, we're talking about 250 million population in this region. So here, we're not expecting that much growth. In Brazil, it's way more important to be more profitable, to be more efficient, to do upselling and cross-selling, providing more products and services, and making sure that the customers using them more intensively. And in Mexico, it's different. I think 2 quarters ago, they decided to re-accelerate the business because they pushed a little bit the brake pedal and tried to do some research. And I think then in the earnings call as well, they stated that it's worth to now push the gas pedal, and I think they did it in the past quarter, and I hope they will keep going it. And Colombia somehow had made a very strong jump from Q1 to Q2, very strong, and here we of course expect as well strong growth momentum. However, I mean, when we talk about all these free markets, they're free key markets, I think for right now, when we talk about client growth, most important is Mexico actually. Yeah, I mean that should become soon the second Brazil if everything goes well, and therefore achieving a larger customer base is definitely the indicator which is existing. Okay, guys, so let's check out what is going on with the client base in those markets. Maybe we go back to this document, and I think we are straight right here. Make it a little bit larger for you guys. Continues to expect reaching 100 customers quarter end, so definitely more than 100 million right now, but I'm not sure if they're all active actually. To 84%. Okay, nice. I think we need this as well later on. To 98.8. 98.8. That's the first number we will enter. 98, and I think that's not that big jump, but keep in mind again, in terms of Brazil, it's just logical that the growth quarter by quarter is not that big anymore, but it's for sure not a smaller one. More than 3 million Brazilians decided to join the team of Nu basically. That's not a small one, guys. Okay, however, let's go on and check out what is going on with Mexico. A total 8.9 million, and that looks on the first glance, at least from my perspective, very well, and that is important that it's looking well, because as I mentioned, here should take place the core growth focus. You can see a very good jump, very good one. And now let's finish this with Mexico. I'm not sure if you pronounced it correct. Colombia, actually. I'm an idiot. And the significant milestone of 2 million customers. Okay, if they say it, then we believe it. So let's enter this, and that looks strong as well. Very strong, actually. Man, that's sick company. Crazy. Okay, now let's check out again the details and rate it. Starting with Brazil. Again, you can see it here. Last quarter, year-on-year growth was 20%. Now it's roughly 17-18%. Doesn't look that compelling, but keep in mind again, it's just a matter of question when we reach the peak here, and still 17.6% is amazing. And yeah, but still it's a bit difficult I would say even, I mean, that's rating on a high level. Maybe later on I will adjust it, let's see. But I could give it green and give it a positive rating, but I decided for neutral because it's not that heavily surprising positive, but again, there is not a great focus. However, Mexico, there's the strong focus, and you can see past quarter already 100% year-on-year growth. This one, it accelerated actually a bit by 7% to 107% year-on-year growth, and that is strong. That is what we love to see. We want to see this kind of development, maybe even further acceleration. You can see now we're talking about 7% of the whole pie, which is definitely not nothing, but way more room for growth when you compare it to Brazil with population coverage of 46%. However, let's check out what is going on with Colombia. And I mean, first glance already shows that it's looking very well. Past quarter, 86%. This quarter, 150% year-on-year growth. Strong again, very, very strong. Maybe even stronger than Mexico. Quite surprising almost. Seems like they really see some potential over there and they go very aggressive into this market. Other way I can't explain why the numbers are that well. And yes, for sure, green one as well. And in total, no doubt about it, we rate it positive. Yeah, that's the case. And population coverage, you can see here, actually this one, we don't give it a specific rating. Yeah? But it's always interesting to see, okay, what is going on with the coverage of the population. And you can see Colombia is way smaller than Mexico, and Mexico is way smaller than Brazil. It's always by almost a factor of 2 divided by 2. And still, I mean, what is going on in Brazil is already remarkable simply. And here we can see so much potential. But it's definitely heading in the right direction, especially when you compare it to the past quarters and the coverage there. But no concerns at all are raising. Very solid, very good. And I mean, till now, with the current results, we are on track to the first positive quarter judgment or verdict from my side, at least in terms of new. I always provided, I think, a neutral rating. Somewhere from my perspective, the number always lagged, but this time it looks simply positive. Yeah, very, very positive. Now we go a little bit more deeper into banking specific numbers, and we're starting with the active rate, and we already have seen the active rate a moment ago, but let's do it one more time. Here 80-40% we're talking about, which is a new high, which shows that customers are convinced by their products, their solutions of Nu, by the service. I mean, in general, there are different KPIs existing out there about the satisfaction, customer satisfaction in terms of Nu, and it's extremely high, way higher compared to other competitors in the market, in the space. And so, not that surprising, but seeing that really it stays high is as well amazing. And 83% is already great. You can see it takes time to climb even higher, and the question is, where is the ceiling, where is the limit, let's say like this. However, that is positive. That is positive, because I honestly didn't expect that will be the case. Now we know that, okay, how many customers of those 110 roughly are active, and we know, okay, it's 84%. And now we want to together check out how much revenue per active customer on average they generate. And you can see it's more or less raising in the past quarters. Was a bit bigger in the first quarter this year, but still very good. Might be seasonality, we would see, or they're playing a little bit around with the different prices, conditions, fees, whatsoever. But guys, and of course interest rates is an aspect as well. But let's check out what is going with the ARPAC for Nu revenue in this quarter, definitely one of the key numbers, key KPIs. And we have it here. And it's actually shrinking a little bit. So that's the first KPI. You can see it here. The first KPI, which on the first glance doesn't look that well. Let's see what they are telling about this. ARPAC increased 25% year on year to $11, while revenues reached a new record high of 2.9 billion. Okay, the next slide are affected by the acceleration of new customer base in Mexico and more recently in Colombia. While deposit strategy in the new goes may attract customers who initially engaged with the Cuenta product only, a product that generates relatively low ARPAC levels, Nu is very confident in long-term results that its growth strategy is expected to yield for the company has seen Brazil for almost a decade now. Yeah, okay, look guys, there are two perspectives on it. I think that's something which is absolutely makes sense, stated by the management. I mean, they're reaching out to new customer base, getting a little bit more aggressive, starting with a lower number of products in Mexico and in Colombia, and then providing more and more solutions and increasing and enlarging the product portfolio. And therefore, it's just reasonable that the average revenue in Mexico and Colombia is lower than in Brazil, yeah, which is a market which has way more legacy. So $11 is not the big hit, yes, and they explain it reasonably. It makes sense. However, for right now, at least, I grant only a negative rating because I like to see that it's growing. Yeah, it's reasonable. It makes perfect sense. It's actually nothing what you should take too neutral at the end, but I want to be very strict here. And in the past, if it's increased, I always rated it positive, no matter if it was some awkward tailwind going on or if there was honestly a reason for it. So I stay here strict, even though we could keep it neutral and it would be fine as well. So yes. Now let's go on, and we covered the active rate of the clients, we covered the average revenue per active client, and now we go to the cost to serve. And I mean, here there's so much potential left, especially when you compare the ARPAC, the revenue side, to the more traditional banks with a lot of shops over in Brazil, with a lot of branches and subsidiaries, and but the cost level here, Nu is really making moves basically, because they don't have all those shops, all those employees, structure, marketing maybe, which is required. They are massively efficient, and this is the number $0.9, I think, per customer in the quarter, if I'm not mistaken, but we'll see it in a moment. So let's check out, and I mean, you can very quickly compare. Okay, here we have the ARPAC, the revenue, and here we have the cost per customer, at least the one which you can directly address to the customer, and that shows what kind of gap between is existing. That's pretty amazing and shows how much potential is existing in terms of future profit development. That might become a strong cash machine if it's not already one. We'll talk about Nu. So let's check out what is the cost to serve. Cost to serve. It's the monthly cost actually. Oh my god. And it's getting even lower. It's getting even lower. That's sick. That's really sick. I mean, it doesn't seem like a that important number. And I'm not a banking specialist, expert whatsoever. And I think rating banking companies is very difficult, especially when they're not run that well, like Nu. Company which is running that well, developing that great, everyone can do a live stream actually and back them. That's not the big art. But however, I mean, you see there is not by accident that you can see revenue per customer and one one row below, immediately the cost per active customer per month, and that's crazy. They lowered it actually by 20 US dollar cents. That's crazy from my perspective. Not sure what is the reason. Maybe as well Mexico, Colombia. Yeah, so okay, the monthly revenue goes a little bit lower than 1 year ago, but as well the cost. But again, that is very nice to see. And you can see, I mean, okay, 20 cents less than than past quarter, but on the other hand, 20 US dollar cent as well, lower costs. Yeah, and I think these lower costs are way more worth than this 20 cent in terms of revenue. However, let's check it out and enter this as well. And that is something what I didn't expect, honestly, and that is something where I don't need to think about too much. And so I rate it straight positive. Now we check out the net interest margin. Actually, one of the key numbers when you are active in investing in banks and compare different banks to each other. Here as well, they're working with a quite good margin, still room for improvement left. It's not that strong like cost to serve from my perspective at least, but it is definitely okay. But let's see what is going on. If even here is some improvement we can see, and we have it here as you can see. Hopefully you can see it. Let me check. Yeah, looks good. And you can see 19.8%, and here it dropped as well a bit, and I can imagine that's as well affected by this Mexico and Colombian customer base in general, that the business running there is not that easy, not that to make it efficient. Let's check out what is going on. Growth was driven by sustained credit cards and lending portfolios. Okay, working well. So yeah, but we want to see what is going on with the net interest margin. The slowdown growth was mainly driven by the combination of three factors: yields on the credit card portfolio declined, reflecting an improved customer and product risk profile. Okay. Lending yields declined as secured loans continue to grow. Okay. And funding costs in Mexico and Colombia continue to pressure usually to quickly ramp deposits growth in new goals. Okay, that's what I mentioned, basically the third reason for this. However, I mean, that's something what is actually not that great, not what we like to see. Don't want to mess around about this. So as far as I can grant it here positive rating, as quick I do here a -1. Yeah, that is how it is. And now we go to default rates. So the percentage, the number of cases or the chance of cases or expected number of cases when the money not comes back, what get, for instance, landed by new to the customers. And of course here we want to see low rates, low percentages. So let's see what is going on with it. Sharing one more time. Not sure if they call it actually default rate, and maybe NPL or something like this. Okay, I guess we're too low, so we need to go a bit up. A bit more up, a bit more up. I think they display it. Here is it. Okay, we got it. You could call it default rate or NPL or even delinquency ratio tracking expectations if you like. So, and here we can see 15 till 19 days. It went a little bit down, 90 days plus, and it went a little bit up. Yeah. So doesn't seem like that crazy. And therefore, look, for me honestly, this number is always very difficult to, oh wait, you can't see it at the moment. Here it is. To judge about, obviously when you get a little bit more aggressive over the time, most of the numbers increase. You can see, however, 15 till 90 days decreased in the past 3 quarters right now, which is good. Otherwise, the 90 days plus increased, which is bad. But the question is, of course, how much can it increase? And there's always a question about how risk-orientated the management goes into the situation, manage their business. And I think because it one time went up and one time went down, I think we can grant a neutral rating. And I mean, in terms of new, and I mentioned it at the beginning of this earnings stream, it's way quicker than Stonko, and that's the reason why I'm now way more fit than compared to the end of the yesterday's earnings call, which took I think the live stream took something like 2 hours. This one we will cover in less than an hour, I guess, if everything goes well. And if not, someone of you starts to add comments. I mean, I would love if you are live. I'm not checking actually how many people are watching. I only see the chat, so you can say hello, you can ask some questions or give me your feedback, your opinion about this earnings results. Would love to go into the interaction with you guys. But what I can say tell you right now, that we are right in front granting a final verdict, or my verdict, for this results. And let's start with the top and bottom line growth. EPS, okay, neutral, not that surprising, but they covered expectations. Revenue, in my perspective, very strong. Yeah, in the past, look, when you see 1 year ago, quarter on quarter, so Q2 to Q3 2023, they made the jump of 270 million, now only 93 million, but please consider or keep in mind that they're already playing on another league right now, way another level, and the expectations was way lower. Yeah, it's not a big surprise, but I definitely rated green because compared to the forecast, and that's definitely a strong beat, and therefore this is a more, let's say, a mix between neutral and positivity, but with the tendency to positive. Then we go through the profit scale in detail, and we rated this neutral, but I told you annualized return on equity with 30%, it's already on a very strong level, and granting only, and it's still growing, so just granting a neutral level is a little bit conservative, and so this is as well a mix between neutral and green, but tendency green. Customer base, no question about it. Mexico and Colombia, the markets where the customer base should grow strongly, is growing strongly with 107 and 150%, and still in Brazil we're talking about a growth of more than 17% year on year. So that's growth momentum, which is a very important one for rolling out more products, doing cross-selling, upselling in the future, is strong. Almost 110 million customers, and this is definitely a positive rating. We are very strong on the positive side right now from my perspective. And now we're talking about some banking specific KPIs, as you can see here, I think. And activity rate, very positive, very strong. ARPAC, I mean, I explained it, still I rated it negative just because I want to be strict, and I only want to invest into the best companies, and Nu is for me second favorite company after Hims and Hers, and has still so much potential, even maybe entering the US in the future. Let's see if they make even this quite crazy move, but I think there's nothing what I would not think about what they could manage in the future, as if other Latin American markets not develop quick enough well, and somehow Brazil, Colombia and Mexico, they reach some limits. I can imagine they even go further into markets like the US with more competition out of the digital banking sector. However, So it's a negative one. I could rate it neutral. Cost to serve, definitely a green one. Net interest margin for me, definitely a negative one. I would love that it stays stable or even increases. Yeah, okay, both make sense. They explained why it's not that positive, but for me, I simply rate it negative. And coming to the last number we just talked a moment ago, default rates. For me, hard to judge about the actual level, but I just compare it to the past quarters, and it increased one time, decreased one time, so for me neutral one. However, if we rate this full block here, you can see we are straight neutral. Yeah. If we, even though again one more time, especially RPAC, maybe negative rating is a little bit too strict. However, here we are neutral with a positive tendency. Actually, revenue is very strong from my perspective, or strong at least. Profit side, way more green than neutral. Customer base, straight green. I mean, even this I could rate it green, but I'm very strict here. So I'm more on the positive side, more on the green side, even though it's a blend between both. But I can tell you, compared to the past earnings quarters, and there I was already quite convinced just based on the results, not based on the general valuation and the plans for new and what I think about this company. I was always on a neutral scale with the tendency to positive, but I was never that positive. At this time, I guess I'm more located on the positive side than on the neutral side with those numbers, because a lot of them seem very like a very positive safe call, or even some positive surprise, like in Mexico and Colombia, the growth, which is so much important for me, that really this history goes on. The locomotive choo-choo goes driving ahead and goes further, very progressively. And so that's the reason, especially because of this customer base, which is developing that greatly, and which is the fundament for so much future business if everything goes well. I rate this earnings results positive with a small tendency to neutral. That is not that positive like the past quarter or the quarter ago, or this quarter or the past quarter of Hims and Hers, for instance, but still positive for sure. And we should not forget, in terms of Hims new, we're talking always about a quite high level of results and quality and expectations. So guys, let's check out what is going on here and see what is aftermarket price. I expect it's up, but we will see. And this shows it's actually a bit negative. Not sure what is the reason for it. I mean, keep in mind that, look, we can check out the chart, the price chart of the stock. And that's the past year. And you can see it, it roughly doubled, 100% up almost, as a not semiconductor, as a not AI focused company. And that's very special. Compare this to the overall market situation, which is very strong in my perspective, and it's just reasonable that it tanks a bit. But guys, I'm now invested in new since I think March past year, so 1.5 years roughly, and so far everything went so well. And I think a lot of times after the results, and most of the time, actually always, they have been neutral, as I mentioned, and quite satisfying. Most of the time, the day after, the price dropped a bit, and then more and more people purchased more stocks and shares. That was always the case, I think, if I remember correctly. So I would not be surprised, okay, if it's down tomorrow or even the day after on Friday, but then it reaccelerates. And if it's not the case, I'm happy, because honestly, guys, even though I'm running low on money privately, if this one is somehow bouncing a little bit back in terms of price, a little bit down, I would not hesitate too much to invest more money, because it's simply well executing, co-founder led, experts involved. From my perspective, and again, that's no financial advice or consultation, but the setup remains very, very strong. And yes, there is competition rising, especially as well in the digital bank space, but Nu is making that crazy moves, which is right now, I think, very hard to find it anywhere else in the world, in general, but as well in the digital banking space. And if you want to invest into the best, and I always try to do it, and that's the reason why I decided to invest in Nu and not in SoFi, because I see way more potential in the market of Latin America than the US market for digital banking business. Maybe the future proves me wrong, yeah. So I can understand everyone who's invested in SoFi actually, but for me, Nu is clearly the best player in the digital banking space, and yes, pricing valuation is not that low anymore, but still we can check it out. And yes, if you like what you have seen, you can of course subscribe to the channel and follow me as well on X or Instagram. But here the valuation of the end of the past month, since then the stock price rate grow a little bit, but you can see that with an expected 2024-2025 blend of 28% revenue year-on-year growth, and now we are at, what was it, 38%. So 28% I think is very realistic, especially with the rise of Mexico, Colombia, maybe even too low. However, and EV sales and price earnings ratio, as you can see here, it is for me not fair priced, maybe a little bit bad priced, a little bit overpriced, overvalued, but simply Nu is very likely a bank or a stock, a company which you very likely will not get that cheap in the near future. Yeah, so I guess everyone make own plans, but if you stay too patient and wait for come back in terms of the price and drop or something like this to get a better entry to the stock, that can take a lot of time and maybe it will not happen actually. Yeah, so that's the reason why if that's dropping, I can imagine to invest more money, but of course I already have a quite strong stack. You can see here my position. It was 17,500 end of past month, I think so. No, it's more like 18,000 or even a little bit more than 18,000 US dollars, 19,000 US dollars, 20,000, something like this. I need to check it out actually. Yeah, I already have quite a chunk of it, and but if it sets back a little bit stronger, I'm definitely ready to purchase more shares. For instance, like some crisis, what's going on. You know, there was this flash crash in terms of Japan. A few months ago, 2-3 months ago, and I was laying in the bed and thought about should I invest more money or not, and I was privately, again, personally not that strong in terms of my wallet, yeah. So I've decided against it actually, and that was a mistake. I still, when I take a look in my portfolio, and maybe you can relate to this, Fox, I sometimes think, damn Julian, why didn't you invest more money in it? Yeah, it is how it is, but I'm still happy that I'm invested, and again that the position is already very large. Last step for today, let's check out what is going on in terms of, when first we can check if the EPS I've calculated is correctly. Hopefully it's listed here. Yeah, 11 US dollar cents, as you can see. That looks good. But what I want now to do is, if there are any first market reactions existing on Seeking Alpha, an analyst platform and stock platform basically, what I can definitely recommend. And let's check out what is going on. I can imagine that the comments which are there, if they are there, some existing, even though the price is a little bit dropping, are completely positive. But but let's check out. We have here something and we have here something. Okay, excellent year-on-year growth and nice increase in deposits, solid quarter. Yeah, I share this opinion. And I guess this guy here, Nat Turner 1966, is as well convinced because all of the smileys looks very solid. Let's see if cool. Yeah. To everyone wondering about new stock price year to date, 90%. Okay, HIMS. Yeah, okay, HIMS. Yeah, okay. I mean, we don't need to extend this call unnaturally. All I can say is that my stock is dreaming actually quite low. So if you hear some sounds in the back, it's not my girlfriend or something like this. It's my dog. And guys, if you enjoyed, quick outlook, guys. A quick outlook. Actually, we are almost done in terms of the stocks I'm covering, because I only cover the stocks I'm invested in. And 5 of them are now covered, and actually the results are very positive. The only one which wasn't that positive was Alphen. Grab was positive, HIMS was positive, Do was positive, and I even rated Stoneco positive, which is very unique. You can check out my past verdicts, and most of the time it wasn't that positive. I mean, you can see it here, 3 times neutral, 1 times negative, and 2 times positive. And that was already very good for Q2, but Q3 again looks way better on average. And let's see what the last company of the gang is doing. And we're talking about SentinelOne, cybersecurity provider and AI processor and data processor out of the US. Very likely earnings date release will be the 5th of December. So a bit less than 1 month, and I will go live again. Let's see what is going on. Maybe you're interested. Maybe that's a stock which is interesting for you. Climbed already very strongly in the past weeks, but still some potential left, maybe. Guys, again, one more time. If you enjoyed what you have seen, feel free to like the stream. That always supports me, provides a little bit support for the algorithm of YouTube, and more people have the chance to see it. That keeps me as well motivated. So overall the community is growing a bit. And of course, feel free to subscribe to the channel. Most of the time, or actually only, I do live streams and sometimes quite spontaneous, so it's definitely reasonable to subscribe. But as well, you can follow me on X and on Instagram. My name there is as well the same like here on YouTube, A Sense of Capital. And yeah, that's it already for today. Thank you very, very much for joining. I hope it was fine for you. As always, my last words, most important is that you take care of yourself. Health is everything, way more worth than any money in the world, I think. So stay healthy, take care of yourself, and yeah, see you next time, hopefully on 5th December, or if not, Q4 2024 earnings release of new, maybe, yeah? All the best, cheer, and bye. A sense of capital. Raphael, just seen it that you used the chat. Dankeschön, bye. I appreciate it. Much love. Cheers.